box like I see right here, then what you want to do is you want to click on the resolution tab, go to custom.
You can check on it now. I see you in the camera. See if you see me streaming. I'm going to go back to YouTube channel, which is...
You're not there yet.
Doing everything possible to mitigate spread of the virus, which
it says I'm live right now. Alright, so I'm checking out my YouTube streaming service. And I'm hoping that I can have it set up in time enough for some things we're going to be doing this week. So I'm going to do a test. Hello. I think I figured out some basic things. It's kind of like a slight second delay. But if you can see me out there, let me know. My name is Geno Marriott, saxophonist, not extraordinaire at all on the social media campaign here. So I'm just waiting to see. I hope everybody's... It's like a slight delay there. Do you see anything? It says one person watching. I see Dawn. Dawn, I see you. Can you see me, Dawn? Now what I got to do is to make sure that we have some sound.
Can you see my comments?
Yes, can you see me? Hello, it is me you're looking for, yes. So we're going to change the sound here. Yes. You hear me? So we're going to change the sound here. Yes. You hear me? So we're going to change the sound here. Yes. You hear me?
So you can hear yourself.
I'll figure out the rest tomorrow.
Alright, well I can see you and I can comment. So, gotta figure out that sound and the squeaking and all that crap.
I think all I need to do is get it down.
I'm gonna sit for a minute, then I'll put the dishes away. I'm tired. This week is going to get bad. That's that young Surgeon General that we never get to see.
He always like, wait a minute, I got something else I want to say. I got something to say.
Fucking idiot. What channel is Fox? We need to see what Fox is saying about him. Let's see how Fox is still giving him a 10. What channel is that?
It's 112.
He's such an idiot. C-SPAN. How do I find Fox? There it is. To get Fox, you... Oh, is this it? 118?
I think the heat has had it.
Is this it? Fox News Live? 118?
It's MSNBC.
It says Fox.
Oh yeah, that's Fox. Tucker Carlson, yeah. He told the truth.
Yeah, 20,000 in New York alone. I was watching that.
Respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth.
This is too much for them.
You are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station. Do you have a life insurance policy you no longer need? Now you can sell your policy, even a term policy, for an immediate cash payment.
We thought we had planned carefully for our retirement.
Y'all better just go ahead and cash it in now.
Supplementary income.
We sold our policy. Now we didn't
All these old people better just go ahead and cash in their insurance and their get that reverse mortgage now. Enjoy your last days. So I saw something. Trump said his priority is the airlines.
Anyone can be affected by the prescription.
He must have stock in the
If you
airlines.
think you've been hurt by Purdue or its prescription opioids like OxyContin,
You got money everywhere.
entitled compensation as part of Purdue's.
Well, obviously not in the mask company. Well, we have 1 million masks right now.
These people don't want to remember the fact that when he would contribute campaign money
June 30th.
back in the days in the late 80s, he would contribute to the Republican,
Want to brain better? Unlike ordinary memory supplements,
but he contributed to the
ingredients
Clinton.
fuel 5 indicators of brain performance. Focus, accuracy,
No, good.
and concentration.
I'm saying if he had stock in the
Difference.
mask companies, we'd have 1 million masks. So he's focusing on the airlines right now.
To stay worry-free.
That's his top priority.
Hello.
People have to be able to make it to his Trump Plaza thing.
Do you have any idea how your mattress affects your body and how well you sleep? Is it too hard or too soft? Causing you to wake up with sore shoulders, back, or hips? Are you uncomfortable because you're too hot or too cold?
Yes, I
You can
am.
get the total body support you need and the better sleep you want with the new MyPillow mattress topper.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. When I invented my new MyPillow mattress topper, I made it to
That cake was good.
everything you ever want in a
But-
topper.
It's a little dry.
Yeah, I thought it was dry too.
Helps relieve your pressure.
Maybe I cooked it too long.
Regulates your body temperature for
I
you
mean,
as an individual.
I would have known, but I know how you normally make it.
Warranty, you can
It was good now.
cover.
That was a little dry.
And I back it with my 60-day money-back guarantee.
Go to MyPillow.com or call now to get
Yes,
your
I may
very
have
own
cooked it just a
MyPillow
little bit
mattress
too long.
topper. Use the promo code and Mike will give you 30% off and 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free. Order now.
What are you looking for?
My pillow top
Something sweet, and I got it.
on its
You
promise
got cake?
to give me a better night's
Huh?
sleep.
Eat your cake.
I want some sauce good on my sister there.
Exclusive 3-layer design.
I like it. I want some some grain.
Superior support.
Grain?
The second layer.
You're gonna put all that back, right?
Evenly distributes iron
No, I'm gonna leave it out here all night long.
You do all the time.
for optimal comfort. Ultra soft.
I put it away.
Is a temperature regulating cover that helps keep you at your ideal sleeping temperature all night long. Unlike other sound systems costing thousands, the MyPillow mattress cover takes comfort to a whole new level without any wires, remotes, or moving parts. Call now
What'd you
or
say?
MyPillow.com
I'm talking about
to order
damn
MyPillow topper.
Chicago Bears, motherfucker.
Save 30%.
You're an ass.
Motherfuckers for the Chicago Bears. Yes, sir, man.
Guarantee is going to change your bed into the most comfortable bed you'll ever own.
I'm beginning to sniffle.
Yeah, I've been kind of sniffling today. I hope that's all it is sniffles.
The World Series tractor, because this is more than just land. It's home. Search John Deere World Series for more. Combating the pandemic as America comes together and stays strong. Tuning for 24-hour live.
Alright, let me hear some thoughts and I'm gonna turn it.
All the latest questions.
I just wanna hear what they have to say.
From your health.
Who better take some cough medicine?
Oh, I put it upstairs.
Sometimes China had nothing to do with this pandemic.
Listen. He's
Says otherwise. lies.
This is
He's
Fox.
a bigot.
Yeah, but he's always on Trump's ass, though.
He is
Oh,
responsible.
really?
Yeah, he called him out about this shit a long time ago.
It's Fox News' fault. Here are the facts of it, because they're worth knowing. On January 23rd, China, the country, put Wuhan, a city of 11 million people, on lockdown and shut the city down. They were desperately trying to contain the coronavirus. It didn't work.
It doesn't go all the way.
Watching that, it became very clear to the rest of the world that coronavirus could be a threat to all of us, and we should all pay attention. There was no reason to believe that China was somehow special. It could escape from China. It could happen here. And we said as much on our show on January 28th.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the Chinese coronavirus is looking like a real threat that could be a global epidemic or maybe even pandemic. It's impossible to know, but it's the kind of thing that could be very serious.
Trump already knew,
Very
though.
serious.
He said he already
Thousands of
knew.
cases already confirmed, more than 100 are dead, and with a 2-week incubation period, more cases are a certainty. So that was late January. That's the tape. What were the other news outlets saying then? The ones who are telling you now that Fox News did this. What is this? On January 29th, the day after that aired, Vox tweeted this. Is coronavirus going to be a global pandemic? No. Period. The Washington Post launched a barrage of articles explaining how coronavirus fear was totally irrational. On January 31st, they wrote this. How our brains make coronavirus seem scarier than it is. February 1st, get a grip, America. The flu is a much bigger threat than coronavirus for now.
For now.
February 3rd.
For now.
Why we should be wary of an aggressive government response to coronavirus, end quote, the response they're now demanding. As new cases of this disease popped up around the world, the delusion continued unabated. In fact, it got worse. On February 18th, the New York Times, paper scolding Fox News, declared that, quote, in Europe, fear spreads faster than the coronavirus. 3 weeks later, Italy shut itself down and thousands died. On CNN, on February 21st, they told you that the real plague in America was, quote, racist assaults and ignorant attacks against Asians, end quote. That's always the fear, and it was always aimed at you. That's what they really believed. Caring about coronavirus, wanting to protect the public from a pandemic, was racist. That's how deluded they were. Mark Levine chairs the health committee on the New York City.
That's not what it was saying.
On February 9th, he tweeted this, quote, in a powerful show of defiance of coronavirus scare, huge crowds gathered in New York City's Chinatown for ceremony ahead of annual Lunar New Year parade. If you're staying away, you're missing out. Can you imagine? His wokeness took precedence over your life. That same day, New York City Health Commissioner Osiris Barbett tweeted this, quote, today our city is celebrating the Lunar New Year parade in Chinatown. I want to remind everyone to enjoy the parade and not change any plans due to misinformation spreading about coronavirus. What was that misinformation? That it came from China, that it was dangerous, that you could get hurt by it? Misinformation. Said the health director. None of these people cared about you. They didn't care about protecting public health or sharing accurate information. They cared about feeling virtuous. They put their wokeness above your life, as they always do and always will. And because of that, as they still are, they spread lies and talking points meant to advance a totally unrelated agenda of identity politics. Now they're trying to use coronavirus as an excuse to grab even more power. Today, the Washington Post published an article lamenting, complaining that furloughed Facebook employees weren't around to censor opinions they don't like. Another Washington Post column over the weekend demanded that TV channels stop covering the president's daily coronavirus briefings because he criticized the media and lies. Don't listen to these people. They're the liars. I think that's pretty clear at this point. In addition to downplaying the early spread of coronavirus, the press and even health organizations have also actively covered up the role of the Chinese government in fomenting this plague. It's hard to believe that's true, including the World Health Organization.
You can blame everybody.
But it is true. Mary Smith is executive
Chinese
director of
fault.
the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation.
Now,
And she joins
it
us.
is true.
Mary,
I hear they whipping Chinese ass now. Come down the street, they say.
organization
That's what they say.
is you gotta think
When motherfuckers start seeing China and what they do now.
against
And you,
pandemics.
listen.
And I think most people instinctively trust WHO. I always have. But you're saying that it's more complicated than that. Tell us why China is influencing WHO.
Well, Director General Tedros was China's guy. He was appointed in that position a few years ago because China heavily campaigned for him to be in that post. And prior to that, in his home country, Ethiopia, he was a proponent of Chinese investment into Africa. And because of him and others at the WHO and other UN bodies, which are infiltrated by Chinese Communist Party interests, you have a situation in which China was fighting the virus, the coronavirus in Wuhan in December, and suppressed the early responders, the doctors who tried to raise the alarm. Throughout January, they were spreading misinformation and lies about the extent of the virus, denying that there was human-to-human transmission taking place. The World Health Organization defended those lies, did not investigate the data, and as late as February 24th, you had Director General Tedros and the WHO claiming that there was no uncontained spread of the virus. A week or two later, of course, they declared it a pandemic. Even now, they are not investigating claims inside of China that there are no more new cases in Wuhan, when we are hearing a growing body of evidence that there are infected individuals who are being forcibly quarantined in hotels, that they are no longer testing.
China was saying they were finished.
Who are dying of the disease. They are taking them straight to the incinerator. We are hearing that this is true in thousands. You have millions of cell phone accounts and landline accounts that have been canceled in China, especially in Wuhan, in the last 3 months. The fact that we would know more about the nuclear proliferation program in Russia today than we do about the medical situation in Wuhan is a tragedy, and it's dangerous, and it's because the WHO is more an interest, a voice, an advocate for the Chinese Communist Party than they are for the health of the world.
And that's one of the most stunning things I've heard in a long time, as the bodies are being thrown into incinerators. Marion, thank you for that. It's a really important set of facts that is not being told anywhere else, and we're grateful that you came on tonight. Thank you. Well, shutting down the country in parts is designed to buy us time for a medical response to coronavirus. And there has been progress on that front, thank God, and we'll give you an update on what exactly it's been after the break.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I guarantee you they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own.
With the Giza Dream Sheets, I'm getting the best sleep of my life.
I do not like my sheets. I love my Giza Dream Sheets.
I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. I guarantee you the first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now. MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors and will be the softest, most comfortable sheets you will ever own. And listen to this. For a limited time, when you use your promo code, Mike will send you a second set of Giza Dream Sheets absolutely free. That's 2 sets of sheets for the price of 1. Giza Dreams are made with the finest, most sought-after cotton in the world. Giza cotton was once reserved for only the finest dress shirts, but is now available in Mike's Giza Dream Sheets. They feature a beautiful silky sateen weave that helps.
We don't want to talk about that damn coronavirus.
Where there may be additional and stronger guidance in areas where the coronavirus spread has been more severe. But for every American, know that the part that you do, that your family does, that you do in your community to put into practice these principles of social distancing, using a drive-through at the local restaurant, will make an enormous difference in lowering the trajectory of the coronavirus spreading across our country. It's going to take all of us, but with the ongoing cooperation of the American people, with compassion, with the ingenuity of American industry with dedicated leadership at the state and federal level, I know that we can slow the spread, we can protect our most vulnerable, and we will heal our land.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So I'm Rear Admiral John Polofchek. I'm the Supply Chain Task Force Lead at FEMA. My task is to increase the supply of critical medical supplies, which will include personal protective equipment and ventilators, items like that. I just want to take a few moments to explain the organization that we've stood up this week, these last few days, and our approach. So we have a chart behind me. I have two focus leads, one on personal protective equipment, medical supplies, and a focus lead on ventilators. Operating under 4 lines of effort. First line of effort you see is preservation. And the leaders tonight have talked about that, ability to make our stuff last longer. Acceleration. We have a team of people that are searching the globe for personal protective equipment, figuring out where it is,
Retaliation.
figuring out if we need to buy it, or just transport it and get it here faster. We have a line of effort called reallocation.
Okay.
We're working with our industry partners to illuminate the supply chain. There are many vendors, many distributors, all on separate systems. Nobody has one site picture from that supply chain. We've brought our industry partners in. We're weaving that together to make better allocation decisions and understand where it is and where it needs to go. We have a line called expansion. You heard some of that today. If those that have wanted to convert plants, those that want to get into the business, we have the tools to help them to go do that. So 2 focus areas right now, PPE and ventilators. 4 lines of effort working the problem of the task to get more here, increase the supplies. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could, the one reporting that the total deaths today crossed 100 for the first time. This morning, your Surgeon General on the Today Show said he wanted Americans to understand that this is going to get really bad. Do you share that prognosis?
Of course I do. It's going to be bad, and we have a lot of people dying from the flu, as you know. We have a very bad flu season on top of everything else. It's very bad. It looks like it could be over 50,000. And certainly this is going to be bad, and we're trying to make it so that it's much, much less bad.
Did he just say much, much less bad?
If you look at other countries, what they've been through, and you look at the kind of...
Our president said much, much less bad.
Much larger country than most. Numbers are pretty amazing, and it started with the fact that we stopped people from coming in from a highly infected area and infected area. It was a good thing to do. So yeah, it's bad, and it's going to, obviously the numbers are going to increase with time, and then they're going to start to decrease. And we're going to be opening our country up for business. Our country was meant to be open and working with others, but especially for our workers. And the engine for that whole system is we have to have companies, and these companies are loved by our workers because they're paying big salaries and big dollars to our workers, and we're going to get it all going again very soon, hopefully very, very soon, please.
Sir, I'm just trying to reconcile this.
That's not
soon. You just said, 1, that things are going to be very, very bad, and 2, that you want to get the country open back up as quickly as possible. So I guess my question is, if in a week Dr. Birx or Dr. Fauci are telling you we need to continue these measures for the health of the vulnerable populations of the country, are you going to say, I'm sorry, the economy is too important?
Well, you see what happens. I understand the question very well. It's a great question, but we can do 2 things at one time. I will say this, our country's learned a lot. We've learned about social distancing, we've learned about the hands, we've learned about staying away, at least during the time that this is even a little bit around, this disease or or whatever you want to call it, many different names. You can call it many different names for the virus while it's around. And we can start thinking about, as an example, parts of our country are very lightly affected, very small numbers. And, you know, you look at a state great governor, Pete Ricketts in Nebraska. You look at the kind of numbers they have out there. They're one of the great hospitals there too, relative to what we're talking about. But you look at Nebraska, you look at Idaho, you look at Iowa, you look at
as the governor's talking,
I could name many
the
countries.
sign language person said, yet when he said he's keeping liquor store open, this is
well, and they're not affected to the same extent, or frankly, not even nearly to the extent of New York, which is really, I'm dealing with Governor Cuomo, and we're doing very well together. We'll be sending that ship up, by the way, as you know. We have a ship going to Los Angeles. We'll also be, the ship is coming out of a very large repair, so ready to go, and very soon will be. And over the next 3 or 4 weeks, that'll be coming up to New York. We'll go to New York Harbor, and it'll be fully supplied. So they're working on that right now.
Maybe Dr. Burks can speak to this. Do you share the president's optimism that in a week we might have a situation where we can say, there's a few hot spots, but much of the time.
Well, I didn't say in a week, but I said soon. It's going to be soon. It's not going to be 3 or 4 months, as some people were saying, and a lot of people thought originally.
We're going to make it less bad. We're trying to make it less bad.
Saying raise 2 important issues. One, I think you all know a lot of our tests have had to go to hospitals at this time so that we can diagnose people who are at risk, to give them options to get these new therapeutic options. None of these therapeutic options are available if you don't know your diagnosis. So we've been very much focused on that. With adding Abbott, Thermo Fisher, Hologic, and now Cepheid platforms. Cepheid is that new platform that is point of care, but slower. So, you know, you got to match the throughput, the need to what kind of equipment you have. Now that we have all those platforms moving simultaneously, we can go back to doing case finding and surveillance in the areas that have the most lower numbers.
No, I was just thinking the same thing.
So watched out.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
We went out with a very blunt force. I mean, we have to all be honest. We had to do that because we weren't sure where the virus was and where it is going. I think over this week, we're concentrated on figuring out exactly where the virus is and making projections about where it's going and the impact of our mitigation pieces. We learned this in tackling epidemics around the world. You have to focus the resources and the intervention and the structural prevention interventions in the areas where the virus is circulating. Otherwise, people never understand why you're doing this and they don't have any virus. So it has to be very tailored geographically, and it may have to also be very tailored by age group.
And
really understanding who's at the greatest risk and understanding
And of course, who's got money in it all. You don't have the fucking money, then you obviously can't get a test for like $40,000 a lot. So no.
Testing will be free. That we all have,
You just can't get it. It's free.
The 2 areas that have moved through their curve is China and South Korea. So those are the 2 countries that we're learning from. Those were 8 to 10 week curves. Each state and each hotspot in the United States is going to be its own curve because the seeds came in at different times. So Washington State is on their curve. They're about 2 weeks ahead of New York. And so each of these have to be done in a very granular way to really understand where we are. And it's the charge that the president has given us is to use all of our data analytics and all of our data inputs to really define those issues about where the virus is, where is it going, and what predictions we can make about where we are in that bell-shaped curve.
I think that's a great definition, and I will say we're going to be watching our senior citizens very closely. We're going to be watching certain hotspots like New York, and within New York you have areas which are troubling, and we'll be working with the governor and the mayor and everybody else on those spots. But at the same time, at a certain point, we have to get open and we have to get moving. We don't want to lose these companies. We don't want to lose these workers. We want to take care of our workers, so we'll be doing something, I think relatively quickly, but we've learned a lot during this period. This was a very necessary period. Tremendous information was gained, but we can do two things at one time. And again, I say we have a very active flu season, more active than most. It's looking like it's heading to 50,000 or more deaths, not cases, 50,000 deaths, which is, that's a lot. And you look at automobile accidents, which are far greater than any numbers we're talking about. That doesn't mean we're going to tell everybody no more driving of cars. So we have to do things to get our country open. But this has been an incredible period of learning, and we'll have announcements over the next fairly short period.
I understand what you're trying to say, but one has nothing to do with the other.
Obviously, Senator Rand Paul has tested positive coronavirus. But he was not in contact with anybody who was known positive, and he didn't have any major symptoms. Under your guidelines, under the guidelines that have been outlined here, he would not have gotten a test. He got one anyway. So what do you say to him? He's pointed out that if he hadn't gone basically in defiance of these guidelines and got tested, he might still be showing up to the Senate right now and infecting the whole U.S. Senate.
So that's why this
that was a good damn question.
That's why this recommendation to the American people was important. Because we have been saying that there is a level of asymptomatic or mild.
But we don't see that shit, motherfucker.
And that's why each person has to be responsible. Each person has to be responsible in the way that they decrease their
he would have kept coming to work every day.
You're all very social distance, so thank you. But also assuming that everyone that you're interacting with could be positive. And that gets into the hand washing piece, and that gets into the other piece.
Well, what about y'all motherfuckers?
Is surfaces.
Let's hear
And I think until we really figure out the respiratory transmission versus the surface transmission, and this hard surface transmission, not fabric, will be really critical, because that's the way the virus could spread on subways or metros, where people would be holding on to things that other people had recently held on to. So that's the real question.
But if we can just keep with the example of Rand Paul, obviously there are many other people that would be in a similar situation, but just keep with this one example.